Hello and welcome to Miss Charlotte Astrology. My name is Charlotte. I'm a full-time working astrologer, and on this channel I analyze the astrological charts of public figures. And very often they are celebrities, and normally they come in the form of actors, artists, musicians, politicians, royalty, influencers, serial killers. But today I'll be looking at someone who's very different from anyone else I've looked at before. I'll be analyzing the astrological chart of the late and great Pope Francis, who recently passed away. As I'm doing this, it's the 25th of April. He died on the 21st of April, or in my case, the 22nd, as I live in the future. I'm in Australia, so I live in the future. So just 3-4 days ago, and everybody on Instagram, follow me on there if you. It's linked below. Follow me if you don't follow. Follow me now if you don't follow me, because I put a lot of stuff on my stories. A lot of people ask me, can you look at his transits? Can you look at his chart? Who was he? He's got a lot of mystique. Obviously, he's the Pope, and he's been hiding behind Vatican walls for quite a while. But behind those those walls, those closed doors, he's been working very hard, and he was a very successful, popular Pope. At least, he was beloved by the masses. And based on the chart that I'm looking at, I think he upset a lot of people within the system. So we're going to get into that. Before I dive in, I just want you guys to know I do offer 60-minute one-on-one readings via Zoom. They're limited. I'm moving in June. So if you want to see me, you want to meet me, book as soon as you can. Everything's linked below. If you'd like to also potentially... if you'd like to buy a 15-minute reading, that is also available. Those are recorded readings, so recording my voice, analyzing your chart. And I do synastry readings, transit readings, and full chart readings. And for the 5-minute, they're focused readings. Those are specific areas of your chart or areas of your life you would like insight into. And if you don't want to do that, but you still want to support me, I have a YouTube members where I post extra content on there. It's just £5 a month. It's one tier, and it keeps my lights on. So I'm very grateful if you do join. And if you don't want to do any of that, but you'd still like to support me, please like, subscribe, comment, help me with the algorithm, click that bell. I'd really appreciate it, because I would really like to get to 10,000 subscribers. That would be great. I've been at this for like a year and a half, and I've made it this far, so I might as well just keep on going. And I really need your help. So I'd really appreciate it. Okay, that's it. Let's dive into Pope Francis's chart, and let's talk about what type of person he was. So let's have a look at his placements. He is a Sag Sun with a North Node. And that is in the 6th house. And then he's got a moon and Venus and Aquarius. So this guy is very forward thinking. We can see that here. Mercury and Capricorn are he's as forward thinking as he is. Like, he's a bit of a visionary. He does have a really nice practical Earth Mercury, which I enjoy. So he takes his visions and he turns them into something. It's not just pipe dreams he has. And then he's got a Mars in Libra and a Cancer rising. So what can I tell about Pope Francis? He's beloved by the people, but within the system, he ruffled feathers for a very long time before he became Pope. I think he was equally as popular as he was controversial. Now, if we look at his midheaven, remember the midheaven is the highest point in the chart. It indicates your duty to the world, how the world perceives you, your job, your career, etc. Right? It's in Taurus. It's traditional. It is in 0-degree Taurus. So the numerology people, help me below. Type away below. Tell me what the 0 degree is. It's the baby degree. Taurus midheavens do really well when they become the face of an institution. Even if they are revolutionaries within the system, they become the new standard, right? So Taurus is solid earth, salt of the earth, systems. It is tradition. It is the way things should always be and always were. That is it's very still. However, Uranus is here. So Uranus governs Aquarius, right? So that is the earth shaking. Even though this is Taurus, this is the solid earth, Uranus here makes it an earthquake and reshapes the landscape, right? So, and that's what he did. That's what Pope Francis did. He was an earthquake. He even though he was the head of a very ancient, archaic institution and he was meant to uphold those Catholic values, he also, within that system, he shook it up by, inviting gay, lesbian, and trans people to services and had whole events, like dedicated to them. He invited, Muslims there too. He was, very evidently very pro-Palestine as well, which was very upsetting for a lot of people. Very outspoken. So people with Uranus in the 10th house, they're going to connect with the public, and their decisions, their choices, their stances are not going to make everyone happy. But that's the point. That's the earthquake. When you want to reshape the landscape, you've got to churn something up, right? You got to break something, right? You want to make an omelet, crack some eggs. So that's the energy that we have here. He also has part of fortune in the 10th house, which obviously indicates luck with career. Someone who's, I'm not saying he didn't work very hard. I'm sure he did work very hard, but he's got luck on his side. Part of fortune in his 10th house of career. Duh, he got promoted to the highest position. He became a king of a religion. Right? So this all makes sense. Let's follow this Uranus, right? Let's follow it. There's some lines coming out. Let's follow the blue one, shall we? Follow. Where does it lead? Oh, it leads to Mercury, the planet that represents the mind and speech, communication. It plays out in the 7th house of partnerships and relationships. All right? Both platonic and romantic. Now, I don't know his history. I don't know if he's been married before. I don't know. Maybe he's never. Some people, some priests have been married before. I think you're allowed to become a priest if you've been widowed. But I don't know what his history is. But what I can tell you, if you got Mercury in the 7th house, a big, what's really important to 7th house Mercury people is that they have an intellectual connection. They have to have an intellectual connection with platonic and romantic partners. They need that. It's not just how pretty you are, how sexy you are. It's not just right. It has to be cerebral. He needs a cerebral connection. And Mercury in the 7th house is great for being a communicator and talking to people one-on-one. Now Mercury in Capricorn is a very practical Mercury. I love Capricorn Mercuries because they're really good at they're very precise and very intentional with how they implement routines and things like that. They take their time. Capricorn takes their time. Now, this Mercury trines that Uranus. So what's really beautiful about this trine, and remember that Uranus is the higher mind. Mercury is the small individual mind. So if they're connected like this, that person is going to be a forward-thinking radical, right? They plan for the future. And especially having these placements in earth signs, this Pope Francis was a visionary. He had crazy ideas. And when he became Pope, he had a vision for the future of the church. But it wasn't just pipe dreams. He created new systems. So when you have a Uranus-Mercury trine, it's going to help. It's going to make you. Is the word psychic too much? I'll use this analogy. He had his fingers on the pulse of the population. He knew what the people wanted. He knew that gay people were being left behind. He knew that people were leaving Catholicism in droves. He knew that the Catholic Church wasn't popular anymore, or at least is losing popularity, and he needed people to come back to the church. So what's he going to do? Do the thing that Christianity should be about and love people and invite them in and include everybody. And he did that. He held events for, gay, lesbian, and trans people. He invited Muslim leaders. He was pro-Palestine. So he was very radical. in his thinking, and he talked the talk and he walked the walk. So yeah, Uranus trine Mercury is fantastic for planning ahead and implementing, um, you know, crazy schemes in really practical ways. And the fact that his Mercury is in the seventh house means that he worked in partnership with a lot of people in order to make this happen. That's why I read somewhere that he chose like 80 to 90% of is it bishops or cardinals? I don't know this. He handpicked a lot of the people that are in their positions now. So, like I said, he was a revolutionary within the institution. He upheld the institution, but he also revolutionized it. So yeah, I think he pissed a few people off, but that's why he is so popular with the general public, is that he brought change to an archaic, dying institution, and he made it popular again. Okay, now if we look at this Uranus, it does square the moon and Venus. So I mean, this can denote, and I don't know what his love life was like if he indeed had one. But he certainly lived an interesting life. It's very alternative. Aquarius placements are weird. I think being a priest and then working his way up to Pope suits him very well. Aquarius placements are very forward thinking, very open with the public. At the same time, they're very distant. They're open, but they're also distant. It's a bit of a contradiction. Aquarius placements be like that. There's almost something Catholics, don't get upset with me. I'm Catholic myself, by the way. I was raised in it. There's something alien, or because Aquarius is a very modern kind of alien energy. There's something very alien or asexual about him, or androgynous. I know he physically looked like a man. Obviously, he was a man, but there's something here. He's just an odd fellow, and I think when he grew up, he was the odd kid out. He's going to stand out of a crowd. Uranus square the moon, Uranus square Venus. I wonder if he looked weird, or he dressed weird, or he behaved weird. Maybe he was just that kid that talked to all the poor bums in the town, and gay. Like, he was just one of those, right? He was just one of those kids that was really open and talked to everybody, and all the regular schmegular people looked at him sideways. There's something strange about this fellow, and not in the nefarious way at all. The moon square Uranus, I think he had a bit of an unpredictable, moody personality. As much as he's able to connect with the public and the people, when it came to his more intimate relationships, I think he could be quite difficult and moody. I definitely see that. I've seen pictures of him slapping people, like lightly slapping people away from him, because they were like, when you like get too handsy, or you get too intimate, or you get too touchy feely with an Aquarius placement, and they back off. Like, yeah, I've seen footage of him losing his temper. It's kind of funny. But yeah, he, on a day-to-day basis, I can imagine with this Uranus square the moon and Venus, he could be quite difficult, and I think he was left alone, left to his devices a lot of the time, and he was free to roam around the palace, or where is it a palace? Where does he live? I don't know. His quarters, and socialized as he wished when he wanted. I think his position actually really suits. It really does suit his placements. But yeah, difficult personality. So I can imagine a lot of people he worked with, it was just a bit like, he's in a foul, he's got a foul temper. I can see them doing that. Moon playing out in the 8th. I don't know anything about his family, but his mum doesn't look happy. What happened to his mum? Can anybody help me in the comments? Was his mum overbearing and strict and mean to him? Like, or was she herself abused in some way, or not treated very well? What's happening here? Why is Lilith in the 4th? Why is the mum difficult? Why is the moon playing into the 8th with the vertex? What happened with his mother? What's going on? And yet even Uranus square the moon, there's an unsettled, unhappy mother. Was the mum abused and she was abusive? It could be one or could be both. I'm trying to figure it out. Help me in the comments, please, because I don't know anything about him. I'm just seeing what I'm seeing. There we go. I don't like the look of that. That's a bit overbearing. Overbearing mother, abused women in the family. Very, like, was he like raised in a very macho environment? I'm just trying to figure this out. Anyway, help me in the comments. He has a Sun and North Node conjunction, learning to be boss, learning to be a leader, and learning to express himself, shine, and be an individual. People with their Sun and North Node conjunction they can turn into tyrants. Don't get me wrong, and I have no doubt that Pope Francis had his moments where he was a tyrant. I think he did, and in his mind, he probably thought it was for very good reason. But North Node with the Sun is someone who is meant to. It's a main character kind of energy. They're meant to be the most famous person on Earth, or in that, where even if they're in a small town, you know. Meghan Markle has this North Node, right? And people with Sun North Node conjunctions, they can be insufferable, right? They can be perceived as selfish. And I'm wondering if even Pope Francis was perceived that way. The North Node in Sagittarius is one of the signs that, along with Pisces, is concerned with religion and belief and philosophy, right? So obviously that's where he's going. He finds himself through religion. He finds himself through philosophy. He finds himself, he finds himself through higher education, these things. And because it's in his 6th house, this has everything to do with work. Okay, so even though a Sagittarius is not the most practical energy, because it does concern like religion and belief systems and right, like those expansive kind of topics, it is in a very practical 6th house. So it's the amalgamation or the blending or the weaving of higher thinking, impractical subjects, and then the incredibly practical, everyday, humdrum, day-to-day stuff. So it's those things fused together. And he's a leader within that. So that fits really well for his career. Let's have a look at his Saturn. Can I just point this out, guys? Saturn in Pisces, he had his Saturn return. Like when he died, he would have been his 3rd Saturn return because he was pushing 90. He had his 3rd Saturn return. He had his Lilith return. And then he had, what else was here? Uranus return. So he's got 3 returns. He's got 3 returns here. Oh, 4 returns, because when he died, the moon had just entered Aquarius. So he's got 4 returns. You know how I always say that when people die, their charts click into place. There's no definitive transit. But I describe it as the chart clicking into place. And very often there's a lot of returns or conjunctions. That's what I'm seeing here. Even Queen Elizabeth II, let me know if you'd like me to look at her chart. I remember covering her death. I had this feeling that she was going. And I had a look at it, and even her moon was in Aquarius as well, and she died. I think she pass away. Saturn was sitting on her moon in Aquarius, but I think the moon also passed, or the moon was passing through Aquarius from memory. Double check me on that. But her chart clicked into place too. So, that's the case with Pope Francis. His chart clicked into place. And now those are just the returns. Let's have a look at other things. Jupiter was on his Chiron. Mars was on his Pluto. And by the way, Mars was sitting in Cancer because of that retrograde. It was sitting in Cancer for like 5 or 6 months on his ascendant, making him feel sick, making him busy, and making him stressed. He was very busy. The day before he died, he was busy. He ran a marathon. So, yeah, Mars and Pluto in a conjunction, Jupiter and Chiron in a conjunction, the sun on his midheaven, literally a few hours before he died, he was doing mass. He was meeting with the Vice President of the United States, and then he dropped. He was busy that day, taking meetings, doing mass, sermons, whatever it was. It was Easter. He literally, it's just crazy that he died on Jesus' death day. What a copycat. I'm joking. Please don't be too sensitive, Catholics, okay? We're trying to... I used to be one, Okay. Yeah, so there's a lot going on here. And also, yeah, Pluto is sitting here along with that moon. So yeah, there's a lot going on in this chart. It clicked into place. Cancer rising, hard on his sleeve, cuddles people, is very touchy feely. You know, Cancer risings, they are very openly emotional. Pluto in the first house. I think when he was very young, he was a very polarizing figure. Obviously, as an older person, you know what, when you're elderly, you can be polarizing and people will still respect you and adore you. When you're younger with this energy, it's harder. Like, so I think when he was in his youth, people didn't like him because when he walked Pluto, people with Pluto in the first house, they, without even realizing, without even trying, they have authority in the room, even when they're not given authority. They just have it, and that's why people don't like it. Some people enjoy it. Some people are very drawn to, Scorpio risings or with Pluto in the first. Very often, people are drawn or very fascinated. But sometimes people are scared, they're terrified, or they're repulsed, or they're projecting. Like, Pluto is a water planet. You got a water planet like Pluto in the first house, you're going to be projecting all your deepest fears and desires and icks and everything on that person. They're just a mirror to you. I always say, and I'm a Scorpio rising, and in whole sign Pluto does play into my first house, if you hate yourself, do not meet me. Because you're going to figure out why you hate yourself. So, you and me, Francis, that's us. Pluto in the verse. Yeah, but I see him being a very kind person, very compassionate, very moody though. Mars in Libra, not in its best sign, but fights for the peace. People that have Mars in Libra at the very worst can be passive aggressive. His Mars is in the third house. When I see people with Mars in the third house very early in their childhood, they'll be very competitive, and later on that translates into like Queen or King Bee, and King Bee, that doesn't work, does it? Alpha, Queen Bee or Alpha energy, because third house is community, right? It is it is the library, it's the school, it's your peers. So yeah, it's that community around you that you live in or grow up in. If you've got Mars in there, there can be competition early on, but then that can translate into leadership later, and that indeed happened. But it is, and I use this analogy for Libra placements. It is an iron fist in a velvet glove, a soft yet firm touch. That is a Libra Mars. Okay. Um, he had a Mercury Mars square, so I think he was in the habit of contradicting himself, or he could also be in the habit of just like making rash decisions, or just because Mars is the phallus, right? It's the pee-pee. Mars is the phallus, it's your will. It is your sovereignty. It is like, right? Because it governs Aries, so it's your motivation. If it squares Mercury, it indicates confusion. It can indicate like, and I said he was a great communicator earlier, but when he is in his hedonistic or selfish energy, he's a very poor communicator. He makes very rash decisions. If he's angry, he makes very shitty decisions. That's something that I could see here. I think there could be a contradiction between, fighting for the peace and being practical. Like, those things just very often clash. Like, do I fight for the peace and try to lead with love and keep everyone calm, or do I implement this strategy which is going to be very useful or profitable, or right? So these Mercury and Capricorn and practical Capricorn squaring Mars and Libra, which fights for that peace, right? So I think he I feel like he had to settle a lot of arguments as well. Yeah, really interesting. He led a very interesting life. If you guys have any information about this man, please put it in the comments below. This T-square with the moon and Venus, I think before he decided he was a priest, and maybe he decided when he was a kid, I don't know, but I think his love life was quite difficult. with this energy, because he's got Pluto opposed Venus, he's got Uranus square Venus. So if he did have any kind of love life, it wasn't regular schmegular. I think he is likely to be attracted to people. Let's just say, I don't know what he looked like when he was younger. Let's just say he was a very good looking, tall, handsome person. I think he'd probably fall in love with someone who just wasn't as pretty as him. That kind of energy. Or someone who was like way smarter than him. Or someone that was like, right? Although I do feel he was like a misfit anyway. So he would have had romantic relationships with people that didn't fit in. Because he didn't either. So a very unconventional person. For someone that became the head of like the church, which is very conventional, he himself as a person, very unconventional. And that's probably why he was so controversial when he became Pope. Beloved by all, Uranus in the 10th, like someone who's going to connect with the public, but within those walls, it was rough. I think it was very rough. And I think it was very rough on the people that he had to work with, because I've heard some things about how conservative some of those cardinals are. Cardinals, bishops, whatever. He had to fight against a lot of them, I think. Yeah. You know, it's really interesting, because he has an 8th house. His 8th house, right? And the 8th house is the death house, right? This is how we calibrate a chart. I learned this from the Astrology podcast. If you look at your 8th house, you can like figure out how you're going to die. All right, don't take that too seriously. But he has like the rulers of his 8th house are Saturn and Uranus, because it's Aquarius. Where are those placements? They're here. So Uranus on his midheaven is work. He was tired. He worked a lot. So I think even though he was sick for a really long time, that's the thing, obviously, that led to his demise. But working a lot, that Easter, he ran that marathon. So there's, I think, what the, it's like the last straw. You know what I mean? He just worked a lot that day. He was very tired. And then he's got Saturn here, which is in the 8th, but it plays into the 9th. So lots of movement, travel. I know he didn't travel overseas or anything, but that's also higher learning, like giving a mass, teaching people. He was just working. He worked a lot those last few days of his life because it was Easter. And then I'm going to sleep. Done. That's what he died of. He probably died because he was tired, right? I don't know what his sickness was. Did he have like a terminal illness or something? Can someone help me in the comments? Well, what was he sick from? Was it respiratory? Like, I don't know, but he was tired. Like that was, if he had just stayed in, I think he would have lived a lot longer had he not had to go to mass and so like, you know, do all the things that he had to do for Easter. I think he would have lived longer. But yeah. Anyway, he was meant to go when he was meant to go. He had a job to do. And you know what's really interesting? Sun on the midheaven. That's the last thing. Sun on the midheaven. Literally, when the sun is on your midheaven, the sun was at 0 degrees in Taurus, 0 to 1 degree in Taurus during this Easter, it is the most busy time. If the sun moves through your 10th house, you are working. You are hustling. There's no time for rest. So, yeah, he just made it. And so, yeah, sun on the midheaven. What a way to go. Causing a stir. All right. Guys, that is what I have. That's all I have at the moment. Thank you so much. And I hope you enjoyed this. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.